Patreon.com/the Walk-Off Podcast. $4 a month gets you in there.
If you're watching this right now and you haven't hit the like button, Billy, get on it. Bug your brother. Tell him to do the same. Oh, boy. I don't know if you caught it on Friday night, buddy, but there was some major confusion between Alejandro Kirk and Alek Manoah. So they had Derek Hall of the Phillies was at the plate. It was a 3-2 count. And Manoah wanted to be sure what pitch he was throwing. You could just tell in his face that him and Kirky were not on the same page. Kirk very alertly and very intelligently called timeout to stop the pitch clock. However, there is a portion of this rule that these two were not aware of. And I guess better to find out in spring training. It's a stupid part of the rule. I don't really get it. But when you call timeout, you need to, as the catcher, go out to the mound, which also counts as a mound visit. So, Kirky didn't do that, wound up calling the ball, and the automatic walk to Derek Hall happened. Now, obviously, you talk after the game to these guys. They were a little perturbed, but they know now. And again, there's no better time to learn this rule than in spring training when that walk doesn't really matter. But know the rules, guys.
Well, question for you. Do you think, because I didn't know that rule. You didn't know that rule. Clearly, neither of them knew that rule.
No.
I'd venture a guess as to say most players didn't know that rule. Not just on the Jays, across the MLB didn't know that rule. Do you think John Schneider knew that rule? More importantly, here's the question. Do you think he pretended or acted like he did or didn't when he talked to Manoah after the game?
That's a good question.
Do you think it was, because I don't think he, I know he wouldn't have gone over and made him feel bad, but do you think he would have been like, yeah, you know what? It's one of those fine print things. I read it. I just assumed everybody else would have read it. Sorry, that's on me. I should have told you that. Do you think it was that kind of an approach? Or do you think it was, hey, I didn't know it either, buddy?
I would almost rather him lie and say he did know it, take the blame, be like, I'm sorry I didn't pass this along, go over those rules again, have a clubhouse meeting and being like, one more time, everybody, here is every breakdown before we go into regular season. And I think that happened across the league. I guarantee that video of Manoah and Kirk's struggle and then giving up that walk was sent to every pitcher within Major League Baseball, kind of as a reminder of hey, this is a part of the rule.
Yep, probably. I like that. You feel good about John Schneider?
I do, man. I like him more and more all the time. Where are you at on him?
Oh, I'm very high on John Schneider.
All in, eh?
Yeah. I think if I could shoehorn this back into the last segment for bold predictions, manager of the year considerations.
Love that prediction.
But I think the only way that really he gets any real steam on that, this would have to be 100+ win team.
Yeah, he's got to win the division.
Because it's always someone who takes an underachiever and gets them, someone who coaching in Baltimore, where it's this team was expected to do nothing and they made the playoffs, right? So it's hard to take a team who was expected to win the World Series 2 seasons ago and win the division and be like, oh, coach of the year there. But I think he's going to have a phenomenal season. So I don't know. I'm really, really, really optimistic about this team. I'm excited, man.
Me too, buddy. You brought something up before we hit record that was kind of interesting. Do you want to go over the memo that Major League Baseball sent out to the 30 organizations?
So not bat boys, ball boys and ball girls. These are the young folks on the sidelines sitting in the chairs. They're scooping up the foul balls that are hit down the line, whatever, right? Memo went out basically from the MLB to all 30 teams saying, hey, let's tighten this up a bit, because apparently over the course of spring training, there were some instances with dawdling being involved. Now, I don't know if dawdling is a term you're familiar with, Scott, but any parents
Oh, sure
watching,
is.
well aware of what it means when a kid dawdles. I've been known to dawdle myself a time or two, but ball boys and ball girls, no more dawdling. It is ball hit down the foul line to a ball boy, ball girl, get that ball in, get it in quick because
Hustle. Hustle
some
up.
teams were, it was implied that some teams were maybe using this as an extra break in the pitch clock, as the pitch clock doesn't start until the ball's back in the pitcher's hands. So if a ball girl or a ball boy is slowly jaunting back over to get that ball and throw it in, you buy your pitcher an extra 3 or 4 seconds here, an extra 3 or 4 seconds there. Anyways, MLB has come out and said, look, we're going to be tracking the performance of these ball boys and girls. And MLB has the right to put a no-fly list together for some of the slackers. So if you're taking too long getting that ball back into play, you may be permanently removed from that position. That's wild to think about, MLB being that concerned.
Firing ball children.
Yeah. Like, hey, kid, you're out of here. I don't know. It's kind of funny, but also I get it because that's
Yes.
absolutely that's a pep talk before the game. Hey, like, hey, we got such and such on the mound today. Any foul ball hit towards you, take your time.
Yeah.
Right. Versus, any chance that the ball comes when the other team is pitching, hustle down there, right? Get that ball in ASAP. But for our guys, take your time. Now, we're really painting at the edges of the picture here to scratch out an extra win or two over the course of a season. But, I mean, you look at the way Max Scherzer is really using the pitch clock to his advantage. These rules, I don't know who it was, the way they shifted against Joey Gallo, where they brought their left fielder over into right fielder. Like,
yeah,
of course there's going to be people exploring loopholes in the system and whatever. So it does make sense that this does need to be like clarified that, hey, we need to nip this in the bud as well. But it's just seems silly to be like, hey, get your ball girls, get their act together, because they're costing us precious seconds here. I don't know.
We
What do you
won't
think?
spend much more time on this.
No, I got a lot more to go. I'm just kidding. The rest we'll save for Patreon.
I will say about this, and I like the way you described it, is they're really painting the edges here, but also there were major rule changes put into place to speed the game up. And the last thing that Major League Baseball would like, the last thing Rob Manfred would like, is for these teams to find ways to circumvent these rules, even if it's just, like you said, by painting the edges, right? So it's like, listen, we literally changed the fabric of the game to shave minutes off the clock. We can't have like Larry the ball boy out there just, dawdling away.
Well, and it'll be interesting because there's going to be more things that pop up during the course of a season. There's going to be, I guarantee,
it'll be a busy memo year.
There will be some manager somewhere who's already spotted a loophole, but doesn't even want to use it, right? They're like, no, as soon as I use this loophole, memo the next day. Memo Mondays, that's what we call it, right? There's going to be a memo closing this loophole. I'm going to save it for that late September series against the division rival when I need it. And that's when we pounce, right? That's when we use it to get that one extra win that we needed. So guaranteed there's a couple of those still out there, but it'll be interesting. I bet you there's going to be some fun Jean Boy breakdowns of rule loophole exploitations over the course of the season. So here you go.
And it'll be 90% of them will be the Tampa Bay Rays that have figured it out somehow.
But not Kevin Kiermaier this year. All right, let's pivot, shall we? We're good there?